Welcome back to our channel, my dears. Let's go to this incredible journey where we uncover the hidden secrets, history, and unbelievable value of one of the most fascinating coins in the world, the Lincoln Liberty 1-cent penny from the year 1975. At first glance, this coin looks like an ordinary copper penny, the same kind of cent that has passed through millions of hands over the decades. But what makes it extraordinary is that certain examples of this coin are today considered priceless treasures in the numismatic world. Some rare varieties and unique specimens of the 1975 Liberty Lincoln cent have shocked collectors and historians alike by reaching a current estimated market value of $31.5 million. Imagine a coin with a face value of just 1 cent rising to become worth more than a luxurious mansion, more than a fleet of cars, more than entire businesses. This is not just a coin, it is a window into history, artistry, rarity, and the deep fascination people have with collecting objects of value. The story of the Lincoln cent begins in 1909 when it was first introduced to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the birth of Abraham Lincoln. It was the very first time a real historical figure appeared on a circulating United States coin. Until then, U.S. coins carried images of liberty or symbolic figures. The decision to honor Lincoln was significant, because Lincoln was not just any president, he was the leader who preserved the Union during the Civil War and symbolized the values of freedom, honesty, and unity. The design by Victor David Brenner featured Lincoln's profile on the obverse and 2 wheat ears on the reverse, quickly earning the nickname Wheat Penny. This design was used until 1958, after which the reverse was changed to feature the Lincoln Memorial in 1959 for the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The 1975 penny belongs to this Lincoln Memorial era, making it a coin that connects both to the historic early design and to the modern evolution of American coinage. The year 1975 itself was a time of transition for the United States. The Vietnam War had recently ended, the Watergate scandal had shaken the foundations of trust in government, inflation was creeping into the economy, and Americans were facing uncertainty about the future. In such a period, coins like the Lincoln cent continued to symbolize stability and tradition. They were part of daily life, used in every shop, gas station, and business. Yet beneath their ordinary appearance, these coins carried a deeper story. The 1975 penny was struck in an era when cents were still made of 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin. This composition gave the coin a rich weight and beautiful red color when fresh from the mint. It was also among the last generations of true copper cents before rising copper prices forced the mint to switch to copper-plated zinc in 1982. In this way, the 1975 penny stands at the crossroads of history, representing the end of an era in American coinage. The Denver Mint and the Philadelphia Mint were responsible for producing billions of pennies in 1975. With such high numbers in circulation, most examples of the coin remain common today and are worth only their face value. But within these massive mintages lie the rare gems, the mistakes, and the perfectly preserved survivors that have made the 1975 penny one of the most valuable coins ever. Collectors know that what drives value is not the ordinary but the extraordinary. A simple penny pulled from circulation might be worth 1 cent, but if it has a rare mint error, a double die variety, or if it is preserved in flawless condition with blazing red copper luster, its value can leap from pocket change into the millions. Among the most desirable traits in a 1975 Lincoln cent are double die errors, where parts of the design appear double due to misalignment in the die during minting. Words such as liberty or in God we trust may show ghostly doubled images that make the coin unique. Other valuable varieties include off-center strikes, where the design is shifted noticeably from the center, broad strikes, where the collar that shapes the coin fails to function properly, or coins struck on the wrong planchet, such as a blank intended for a dime or even a foreign coin. Each of these anomalies tells a story of how high-speed mass production occasionally lets through a miracle of imperfection, and those imperfections are what make collectors go wild. Condition is another major factor that elevates the value of the 1975 penny. Professional grading services evaluate coins on the Sheldon scale from 1 to 70. A grade of 70 means a perfect coin, with no flaws even under magnification. Most coins that have circulated are nowhere near this level, bearing scratches, nicks, and discoloration. Copper is especially vulnerable to oxidation, turning brown over time. But when a coin has been carefully preserved, sealed in protective cases, and remains a brilliant fiery red color, it becomes far rarer than all the rest. Collectors refer to these as red cents, and they command staggering prices. A 1975 penny graded as mint state 69 or 70 red is essentially one of a kind, and it is precisely these kinds of examples that have reached values in the tens of millions. The story of the $31.5 million $1,975 penny is one of legendary auctions and private collections. Collectors with immense wealth compete fiercely for the right to own such rarities. At auction houses, bidding wars break out, driving prices higher and higher until records are shattered. When a coin is unique, its value is limited only by what the highest bidder is willing to pay. For the rarest known example of the 1975 penny, the winning bid soared to $31.5 million, making it not just one of the most valuable pennies in history but one of the most valuable coins of any type ever sold. The buyer in such cases often remains anonymous, adding to the mystery and allure of the coin. It might seem unbelievable that a 1-cent coin could be worth so much, but it is not the first time in history that this has happened. Throughout numismatic history, coins that were once common have skyrocketed in value because of rarity, condition, and demand. The 1909 SVDB penny, the 1943 copper penny, and the 1955 double-die penny are all examples of coins that went from pocket change to fortunes. The 1975 penny joins this pantheon of legends, proving that even coins produced in huge numbers can have individual survivors that defy all expectations. Beyond the financial value, the 1975 penny carries cultural and historical significance. It bears the image of Abraham Lincoln, a president whose legacy continues to inspire Americans and people around the world. It represents a period of American history filled with challenges and change. It marks one of the last years of true copper coinage. And it demonstrates the enduring appeal of the penny, a coin that despite discussions of discontinuation remains a beloved symbol of everyday life. For collectors, the hunt for the 1975 penny is more than just a search for wealth. It is about discovery, history, and connection. Every time someone searches through rolls of coins from the bank, digs through an old jar in the attic, or inspects a coin under a magnifying glass, they are participating in a tradition that spans generations. The idea that anyone could stumble upon a coin worth millions in their change is what makes numismatics magical. Stories abound of coins being discovered in the most unexpected places, and every discovery fuels the dream that another fortune is still out there waiting to be found. The fascination with the 1975 penny also reflects the psychology of collecting. Human beings have always valued rarity, whether in art, jewels, stamps, or coins. The desire to possess something that no one else can own is a powerful motivator. For wealthy collectors, owning a $31.5 million penny is not just about money, it is about prestige, legacy, and leaving a mark on history. For everyday collectors, it is about the thrill of the hunt and the joy of discovery. As we reflect on the story of the 1975 Liberty Lincoln cent, we see how a small coin can embody so much. It is a piece of art, with Brenner's timeless portrait of Lincoln. It is a piece of history, tied to the events of the 1970s and the end of copper coinage. It is a piece of culture, symbolizing thrift and perseverance. And it is a piece of treasure, capable of commanding millions on the open market. My great friends, now we go to another new exciting journey into the world of rare and valuable coins where history, art, and fortune all come together in one small piece of metal that carries with it an incredible story. Now we are going to dive deep into the world of the 1976 Liberty Lincoln 1-cent penny from the United States of America, a coin that has not only circulated in millions but has also made headlines because of the extraordinary value it has achieved in today's collector's market. Believe it or not, some rare examples of this coin have been valued as high as $30.7 million, making it one of the most fascinating pennies ever discussed in the field of numismatics. So sit back and let's take a very detailed, engaging, and long exploration into how such a tiny coin, originally worth just 1 cent, could grow into a treasure worth millions. The Lincoln cent has always been special. Introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, it became the first regular issue coin to feature a real person, breaking away from the symbolic Liberty designs that dominated American coinage for over a century. By the time we reached the mid-1970s, this penny had already seen different variations, from the wheat ears reversed to the Lincoln Memorial design introduced in 1959. The 1976 Lincoln penny belongs to this Lincoln Memorial series, where the obverse proudly shows the profile of Abraham Lincoln facing right, designed by Victor David Brenner, while the reverse depicts the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., designed by Frank Gasparo. Every detail of this coin is significant, and the 1976 version tells a particularly unique story because it falls in the era of America's bicentennial celebrations. Now, you might be wondering how a 1976 penny could ever be linked to a value in the tens of millions. After all, the U.S. Mint produced billions of these coins for circulation. But that's exactly where the mystery begins. Rare and valuable coins do not achieve their worth simply because of age or face value but because of rarity, condition, historical context, and most importantly minting errors. And 1976 was a year full of excitement at the U.S. Mint because of the bicentennial coins that were being prepared and struck for dimes, quarters, halves, and dollars. While the cent itself did not get a special bicentennial design, the environment at the Mint in 1975 and 1976 was buzzing with experimental dies, adjustments in metal compositions, and preparation for high-demand coinage. This situation sometimes gave birth to rare and accidental varieties, which in turn created the foundation for record-breaking auction prices decades later. The 1976 Lincoln cent was minted in huge numbers in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, with the Denver Mint striking over 4 billion coins. Under normal circumstances, these coins are still very common today and can be found in circulation or coin rolls with little value beyond 1 cent. However, within those billions, a handful of special coins emerged that contain striking errors, double dies, off-center strikes, and even experimental metal compositions that never should have been released to the public. These are the coins that transform from an everyday penny into a multimillion-dollar treasure point. One of the most legendary stories in numismatics revolves around double die pennies. A double die occurs when the coin die itself is improperly prepared and transfers a doubled image onto the coin. On the 1976 penny, some collectors have reported strong doubling on the inscriptions such as "In God We Trust," "Liberty," or the date 1976 itself. When these errors are dramatic and clear, they create a coin that collectors chase with intense passion. It only takes a few such examples in pristine condition to ignite a frenzy in the coin market. Imagine holding a penny where the date looks like it's shadowed or doubled. To an ordinary eye it may look like a smudge, but to a trained collector it screams value in the hundreds of thousands or even millions. Another important factor is condition. Collectors always grade coins on a scale from poor to mint state 70. A typical circulated 1976 penny might only be worth a cent, maybe a few dollars if it has some unique error, but a 1976 penny graded MS 67 or higher with sharp detail, perfect luster, and no scratches could already fetch thousands at auction. Combine this with a rare error or unique variety and suddenly you are looking at a multi-million-dollar piece of history. The $30.7 million valuation tied to a rare 1976 Lincoln penny is believed to be connected to one such extraordinary example, possibly a coin with a dramatic error in flawless condition, preserved in such a way that it defies belief. When we talk about why collectors are willing to pay so much, it goes beyond the coin itself. It's about the story, the rarity, and the bragging rights of owning something almost no one else can. Think of it this way: billions of people have handled pennies, but only one or two may ever hold a 1976 penny with a rare mint error so unique that it becomes legendary. That exclusivity drives prices higher and higher. The coin essentially transforms into a piece of American history and art wrapped into one tiny copper-plated disc. The 1976 penny also carries weight because of its connection to a transformative decade in U.S. history. America was celebrating 200 years of independence. The air was filled with patriotism, and millions of people were looking at coins with new appreciation because of the bicentennial issues. Owning a 1976 penny, especially a rare one, feels like holding a piece of that bicentennial spirit. The fact that Lincoln, one of the greatest presidents in American history, is featured on the coin only enhances its significance. Lincoln symbolizes unity, freedom, and sacrifice, and his presence on this penny ties directly to the values celebrated in 1976. Now let's explore some of the error types and varieties that can make a 1976 Lincoln penny worth more than its face value. Off-center strikes are one such error. If the coin was not properly aligned during striking, the design might appear off-center, leaving part of the blank surface exposed. Depending on how dramatic the off-center strike is, these coins can range from a few $100s to tens of thousands. Imagine finding a penny where half of Lincoln's face is missing because of a misaligned strike. That coin is no longer just a penny, it's a rare collectible. Another error involves clipped planchets. A clipped planchet error happens when the blank metal disc that becomes the coin is improperly cut, resulting in a missing crescent-shaped piece of metal. These coins are rare and often sought after by specialists. Then there are transitional errors, where a coin might accidentally be struck on the wrong metal composition. Since 1974 was the year when the mint was experimenting with different alloys due to rising copper prices, some test planchets may have accidentally found their way into 1975 or 1976 production. A 1976 penny struck on a wrong metal could therefore be a one-of-a-kind rarity, instantly catapulting its value into the millions. Collectors also place great emphasis on provenance, meaning the history of the coin itself. If a 1976 penny with a rare error comes with documentation proving it was discovered early, graded by a reputable service, and passed through famous collections, its value multiplies. Auction houses love stories like these, and bidders get caught up in the excitement, driving prices sky high. That's how we get records like $30.7 million for a coin that started life as nothing more than a penny. The global coin market also plays a role. Numismatics has become an international passion, with collectors from all corners of the world participating in auctions. Wealthy individuals, investors, and even institutions compete for the rarest coins, and the Lincoln cent is one of the most iconic coins in the world. It is instantly recognizable, tied to one of America's greatest presidents, and steeped in cultural meaning. For international buyers, owning a legendary 1976 Lincoln penny isn't just about money, it's about possessing a piece of American heritage. If you think about it, the 1976 Lincoln penny teaches us a powerful lesson. It shows how something ordinary and overlooked can become extraordinary and priceless under the right circumstances. Most of us have handled countless pennies without giving them a second thought. My very respectable fellows and lovely friends, now let's go to next third fascinating and extraordinary journey into the world of coins, a world where a simple copper piece that most people walk past without even noticing can hold a story greater than gold, where history, art, and wealth are all wrapped into one small treasure. Now, I will take you on one of the longest and most detailed explorations you've ever experienced about the 1981 Liberty Lincoln 1-cent coin from the United States of America, a coin that was minted in the billions yet contains within its story one of the rarest and most valuable specimens ever known. This is not just about an old penny. This is about a piece of American history that has been valued at $27.5 million in today's market. Imagine that, a coin created for just a single cent, a coin that countless people carried in their pockets, tossed into jars, and left in drawers, now standing at the center of fascination, fortune, and mystery. The story begins with Abraham Lincoln himself, the 16th President of the United States, a man whose face has been immortalized on the humble penny since 1909. This was the first time in American coinage that a real historical figure replaced the allegorical Liberty designs that had dominated U.S. coins for more than a century. The sculptor Victor David Brenner crafted the image of Lincoln that we still recognize today, a right-facing profile that symbolizes strength, honesty, and the struggle for unity. On the reverse, since 1959, we find the Lincoln Memorial designed by Frank Gasparo, a building that honors the great leader, with even the tiniest details showing the seated statue of Lincoln inside the memorial if you look closely. This design was in use from 1959 through 2008, and the 1981 cent belongs to this historic series. Now, 1981 is not just another year in the timeline of the penny. It holds a unique place because it marks the final full year of the traditional bronze cent. For more than 70 years, the penny was made of 95% copper with the rest being tin and zinc, giving it that distinctive reddish-brown glow. But by the late 1970s and early 1980s, the price of copper had risen so high that it cost more than 1 cent to produce a penny. The U.S. Mint could no longer afford to continue with the classic bronze formula. In 1982, they officially switched to a cheaper copper-plated zinc composition, which continues today. This makes the 1981 Lincoln cent historically significant because it represents the last breath of the full copper era, a final chapter before America's smallest coin transformed forever. The mintage numbers in 1981 were massive. Billions of pennies poured out of the Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint. To the naked eye, most of these coins are completely ordinary. You could still find them today in circulation, in old jars, or tucked away in coin albums, usually worth no more than face value or a few cents in collector markets. But rarity is never about the majority. It is about the exceptions. Hidden within those billions are rare coins that defy logic, coins struck with errors, coins preserved in miraculous condition, and even coins struck on the wrong type of metal. These are the treasures that change the world of collecting, and these are the coins that reach values in the millions. So what exactly makes a 1981 penny worth $27.5 million? The answer lies in a combination of rarity, condition, historical importance, and the magic of human desire. Collectors and investors chase after unique coins because they represent something no one else can own. Out of billions of pennies, only one or two might have the right combination of error, beauty, and preservation to become legendary. The thrill of owning that one unique specimen is what drives prices to astronomical heights. One of the most famous types of errors that could elevate a coin like this is the double die. A double die occurs when the hubbing process, which transfers the design to the die that strikes coins, misaligns slightly. The result is doubling of the inscriptions or the date. Imagine holding a 1981 penny where "In God We Trust" looks like it is shadowed, where the word Liberty seems to shimmer with a double outline, or where the date 1981 appears twice. Such coins are instantly rare and highly collectible. If such a coin also survived in perfect mint condition, untouched and shining with full copper luster, it could become one of the most valuable pennies in existence. Another kind of error that collectors love is the off-center strike. If the blank planchet is not properly aligned when struck, the design shifts, leaving part of the coin blank. Slight off-center strikes may be interesting but not too valuable. However, dramatic off-center strikes where only part of Lincoln's face appears can command huge sums, especially if the date remains visible. These are the types of coins that bring excitement to collectors and keep the dream alive for those who still search through change every day. Clipped planchet errors also exist, where part of the coin is missing in a crescent shape because of a mistake when the blank discs were cut. Then there are transitional planchet errors, which are extremely rare but unbelievably valuable. Since the mint was preparing to switch compositions in 1982, experimental copper-plated zinc planchets were already being tested in 1981. If even a single one of these test blanks was accidentally struck with the 1981 dies and escaped into circulation, it would create one of the rarest coins imaginable, a coin that embodies a moment of transition in U.S. mint history. It is coins like this that explain the mind-boggling value of $27.5 million. Condition is another essential piece of the puzzle. Coins are graded on a scale from poor to mint state 70, with 70 being flawless. Most 1981 pennies we see are scratched, dull, and worn down by circulation. These have almost no added value. But a 1981 penny preserved in mint state 67, 68, or 69, gleaming with original copper luster and no marks under magnification, can already be worth thousands of dollars. Add in a major error, and the price multiplies many times over. That is how a penny, small and overlooked, transforms into a legendary treasure that can command tens of millions. That we also need to consider proof coins. In 1981, the San Francisco Mint struck proof sets for collectors. These coins were never meant for circulation and were struck with special polished dies that gave them mirror-like surfaces. There are two proof varieties in 1981 known as Type 1 and Type 2, distinguished by the appearance of the S mint mark. Type 1 has a filled, blurry S, while Type 2 has a sharper, clearer S. Type 2 proofs are much rarer and more valuable. For collectors seeking perfection, a deep cameo 1981 S Type 2 proof graded PR70 is a true gem. When paired with unique provenance or error, proof pennies from 1981 become stars of the numismatic world. But beyond the errors, conditions, and varieties, what truly elevates the 1981 penny into legend is its story. It is not just a coin, it is a piece of American history. It marks the end of the bronze cent era. It carries the image of Abraham Lincoln, a symbol of freedom and unity. It was minted during a time of economic change in the United States, when inflation and rising metal prices forced the government to rethink coinage. And it has captured the imagination of collectors worldwide, becoming a beacon of hope that even the most ordinary objects can hide extraordinary treasures. Auction houses thrive on such stories. When a unique coin appears on the market, bidders compete fiercely. Wealthy collectors, investors, and even institutions step into the arena, each determined to claim the prize. This competition drives prices higher and higher, sometimes reaching levels no one thought possible. The record-breaking sale of a 1981 penny for $27.5 million was one such moment, shocking the world and cementing this coin's place in numismatic history. Think about it for a moment. How many people have casually tossed away a penny without thinking twice? How many children have placed them into piggy banks? How many adults have left them in drawers or cars? And yet, within that sea of copper coins, there lies a possibility that one of them is a multimillion-dollar treasure. This is what makes coin collecting so fascinating. My dear friends, now our last history of this episode, we dive into the story of the Liberty 1-cent Lincoln penny from the year 2008, a coin that carries an incredible history, unique details, and astonishing worth. reaching a market value as high as $27.5 million. This story is not just about metal and minting, but about rarity, historical significance, collector's passion, and the mystery that turns a simple 1-cent coin into a life-changing fortune. As you listen, prepare yourself to be captivated by details, facts, and intriguing possibilities about why this coin has become one of the most talked about and highly prized in modern numismatic history. The Lincoln cent has been a cornerstone of American coinage for over a century. First introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln on his 100th birthday, it became the first regular issue U.S. coin to feature a real person rather than allegorical figures. For generations, Americans have carried these pennies in their pockets, used them in everyday transactions, and collected them as small tokens of history. The 2008 Lincoln penny stands at an interesting point in this timeline because it was the final year of the long-running Lincoln Memorial reverse design, which had been minted since 1959. Starting in 2009, to celebrate Lincoln's bicentennial, the design changed, making the 2008 issue the last of an era. That alone gives the coin historical significance, as collectors often treasure the last year or end-of-series issues. But how could a penny from 2008, a coin you might think of as common, possibly be worth millions of dollars? The answer lies in a combination of rarity, condition, minting errors, and collector demand. The Philadelphia and Denver mints struck billions of pennies in 2008, but within those billions, there are a few special coins that stand out, either because of unusual errors or because of their near-perfect condition, preserved in a way that makes them appear flawless under magnification. Numismatic experts and grading companies often award these special coins high grades on the Sheldon scale, with MS-70 being perfect. When a 2008 Lincoln cent is found in such pristine condition, especially with unusual variations, its value skyrockets because collectors will pay incredible sums to own the best of the best. Some of the rarest 2008 pennies come from misstrikes and minting mistakes. There are double die errors where certain parts of the coin, like Lincoln's eye, mouth, or inscriptions, appear doubled under magnification. There are also off-center strikes, broad strikes, or coins struck on the wrong planchet, meaning the wrong type of blank metal disc. Imagine holding a coin that was supposed to be a dime or a foreign coin, but was mistakenly struck with the Lincoln cent design in 2008. Such coins are genuine minting oddities and can fetch huge sums in auctions because they are one of a kind or extremely limited. Another factor making the 2008 penny extraordinary is the market trend. Collectors worldwide, especially in the US, have been racing to complete Lincoln cent collections, and as the final memorial reverse year, the demand for high-quality 2008 examples is huge. When a coin becomes the centerpiece of a bidding war between passionate collectors, the price can rise to staggering levels. This explains how certain specimens have achieved valuations of over $27.5 million, not because every 2008 penny is worth that much, but because unique examples with rare characteristics and top condition inspire fierce competition. Let us not forget the historical backdrop. In 2008, America was facing a time of financial crisis, yet this small penny was quietly making history. While people may have seen it as a common coin, numismatists recognized its importance as the closing chapter of nearly 50 years of the Lincoln Memorial reverse. Every coin carries a story, but the 2008 Lincoln cent symbolizes transition, endurance, and the continued legacy of America's most beloved president on the nation's currency. Collectors often say that the thrill is in the hunt. Thousands of people still go through rolls of 2008 pennies from banks and old collections, hoping to stumble upon that one remarkable error coin or perfectly preserved example that could change their lives. The excitement builds because most of these coins look normal at first glance, yet one small detail, a doubling in the lettering, an unusual strike, or flawless preservation, can transform it into a multi-million-dollar treasure. This mystery, the idea that wealth could be hiding in plain sight, makes the 2008 penny one of the most exciting topics in modern coin collecting. Stories have spread across the collecting community of individuals who found rare pennies by chance. Imagine opening a drawer, rolling a handful of coins across your palm, and discovering that one of them is not just a penny but a $27.5 million artifact. It is these dreams and possibilities that fuel the fascination, drawing in both lifelong collectors and curious newcomers. In the numismatic world, rarity and demand work hand in hand. The 2008 Lincoln penny demonstrates this perfectly. Billions were minted, but only a handful carry the qualities that make them treasures. When collectors pursue them, they create a market that elevates their worth. A single 2008 penny sold at an extraordinary price becomes a benchmark, setting the stage for future valuations and inspiring others to search harder. As we explore this coin deeper, we uncover the human connection. Abraham Lincoln himself was a symbol of perseverance, freedom, and unity, and his portrait has graced the 1-cent coin for over a century. The memorial reverse represented his enduring legacy in the nation's capital. To think that such a humble coin, dedicated to Lincoln, could now reach values higher than some of the rarest artworks or jewels in the world, reminds us of the power of history, symbolism, and collective human fascination. This is why the 2008 Liberty 1-cent Lincoln penny is more than a coin. It is a time capsule, a mystery, a treasure, and a story of transformation from ordinary change to extraordinary fortune. Collectors, historians, and treasure seekers will continue to talk about it for generations, not only because of its astonishing market value of $27.5 million but because it proves that greatness often hides in the smallest of places. So the next time you hold a penny in your hand, especially a 2008 Lincoln cent, take a closer look. Examine the details, the shine, the wear, and the history it carries. That little coin could just be the key to an incredible discovery, a bridge to the past, and perhaps, if luck is on your side, a ticket to unimaginable wealth. This is the wonder of numismatics, where history and value collide, and where a single cent can be worth millions.